Hi everyone and welcome. This is Rebecca. I talked to you a little bit about what's on this PowerPoint at our face-to-face meeting, but I wanted to record it so that in case anybody wasn't able to make it, they would still get to see it. I want to share with you a little bit about my own history because I think it will help you understand where I'm coming from in terms of my views on the use of technology in education. I wasn't always a technology explorer by any means. Those of you who know me know that I don't have a special talent when it comes to technology. In fact, I have a lot of compassion for folks who, during a technology training, have a hard time finding whatever the little icon they're supposed to click on is and find themselves 2 steps behind the presenter at many points. So if you're one of those people, I've tried really hard in this course to create redundant little mini screencasts and things like that so that you can go back and review how to do things inside of Blackboard. What got me involved in technology really began before I knew anything about the World Wide Web. As a young person, I was deeply interested in world peace and social justice. And I became a teacher because I wanted to pass along my passion for civic engagement, my love of history, my desire to expand on critical thinking and work for social justice. I wanted to pass along that passion to young people. And one of my most transformative life experiences as a high school teacher was to take students down to Tijuana, Mexico for a cross-border social justice immersion experience. We stayed together in a migrant shelter and we heard the stories of many people who had lived and worked in the US and in Mexico, both legally and illegally. We visited with Border Patrol folks and heard their stories and their perspectives. We visited with experts on both sides of the border who helped us understand the intricate links between the two countries from multiple perspectives, historical, etc. When I moved to the college level, it was with a program called California Mini Corps. I was hired as a coordinator of that program in San Jose, California. It was a grant-funded program that matched bilingual college students of migrant background with bilingual teachers who needed bilingual aides, and it placed these former migrant students in paid positions as teachers' assistants, while also providing them coursework in the School of Education. So it was sort of like an apprenticeship program where they were taking coursework and had mentor teachers working with them over the course of at least 4 years. A wonderful program. As part of that program, we took students down to conferences near the border and did some cross-border experiences in Tijuana as well. We worked to link the curriculum of Mexican schools with the curriculum of American schools so that recent immigrant kids could have a smoother transition into their new schooling environment. And this is where my first introduction to online comes in. We used the online PASS program to help migrant students with interrupted education earn credit for their high school courses by taking online courses at whichever school they were attending. So kids who worked in the fields, moved frequently, and had previously never been able to pass their classes now had a way to complete high school. Mind you, these were not the highest quality learning experiences. This was archaic online education, but they were a way for students to be able to pass their classes and get a high school diploma, kids who had not been able to do so previously. After moving to Madison and becoming the migrant support teacher for the Madison schools, I discovered a number of uses for the web beyond the PASS program. Many of my students were not proficient in English, but were placed in English-speaking classrooms at the middle school or high school level. So if you can imagine trying to learn, for example, motorcycle mechanics, if you were to try to learn motorcycle mechanics in Hungarian as a new immigrant to Hungary, imagine what it would be like if you were able to preview the material for each class in English before you went into the class to learn about motorcycle mechanics in Hungarian. you would be able to grasp so much more of the content and more of the new language. And that's what we discovered with our migrant students. If we could get them access to the content using the bilingual resources available on the web before they went into their English-only classroom, they were able to grasp so much more. And so the power of the World Wide Web became exciting to me. What the bilingual resources could do for the parents of the kids was also really astonishing and exciting. But what really captured my imagination was the emergence of Web 2.0. And Web 2.0 can really be thought of as a social movement, a worldwide social movement. The folks who started it wanted to change the web from something that was created almost entirely by larger businesses, academics, medical experts, to something that was created by and for people all over the world. These folks began to create tools that could be accessed by anyone with an internet connection to create content that could be shared by anyone else in the entire world. This is when I started to get really, really interested. What did this mean for education? What happens when we can talk with people anywhere about any topic we choose? What happens when we become creators rather than just consumers of web content? The next step in my journey was with Edgewood College. I had been teaching as an adjunct in the ESL bilingual education program here since its inception while I was working with the Madison schools. And Sheila Hopkins wrote a grant a little over 5 years ago and received a $1.2 million grant from the Office of English Language Acquisition. She hired me to coordinate this new program called CTEL, which was designed to give professional development to teachers working with bilingual kids in area schools. And we wanted to create convenient courses that used both face-to-face and online components, and that connected teachers to each other in their own school places, on teams, as well as connecting teachers to teachers in other schools and collaborating and developing resources together to support their work with the bilingual kids. I took a 15-credit graduate certificate program in online learning through UW-Stout while working on that project to help me understand more what possibilities were afforded by online learning technologies. And because Blackboard did not have collaborative learning tools at that time, we used Web 2 to create and teach the online portions of our program. The rest is history. It's a longer history, and we can talk about it together more. CTEL continues. Sheila wrote another grant to continue to support it. It had well over 200 applicants this year, and it's been helping teachers around the state improve their work with their bilingual kids. My experience also as an online student in that UW-Stout program transformed my thinking about the possibilities of online education. My experience was wonderful. I had more access to my instructors than in almost any of my previous graduate classes. The interactions with my colleagues in the course were stimulating, and I never had to sit through a long, boring lecture or deal with the one student who would not let anyone else in the class speak. Some people, of course, made shallow contributions to the discussion forums, but I quickly got to know who wanted to have meaningful dialogue and who wanted to really share and create meaningful resources. I got to know those people in my cohort, in my classes, and I became close to them. We sought each other out. We created things together and individually and shared them and critiqued them and enhanced them. So the collaboration piece was huge, and making things for course design made me feel like an artist. It was very empowering. I loved the design aspect and the ability to be able to constantly share that with others and improve my work when I saw what they had done. Teaching online did not come as naturally to me. I missed the feeling of being a sage on the stage, even though I didn't lecture a lot in my face-to-face classes. Um, just that little bit of lecture time was something that I missed. And I sometimes felt left out of my own online discussion forums when students would get so into it that they ignored my brilliant question or my wise and thoughtful comment. So it was a definitely new experience, but I also could see the power of what was happening. My online students created very meaningful resources for their own students, for the families of their students, collaboration tools for each other that they continued to use well beyond my class. And I will share some of that later in this course. But what was clearly happening was that they were seeing themselves as authors of meaningful content for others to use. They were seeing themselves as professional developers of each other and of others in their school site. So it was really exciting. When I discovered the power of what online tools could do for education, I began to transform my face-to-face courses. It made me very much more organized. But the power of those online discussions and the collaborative development of resources was really the clincher for me. I noticed not only that students were creating these resources that I keep mentioning, but also I noticed that students who spoke very little in class often contributed a lot in the online environment. Those more reflective folks who don't necessarily speak up in a meeting, sometimes online would say a lot more. And even my more extroverted students were more likely online to tell a very full, rich story that they might not want to take the stage time to tell in the classroom. Some students had artistic talent or design talent, and they could show up online in a way that they couldn't show those talents as clearly in a face-to-face environment. I also kept thinking about students with medical conditions or disabilities and how they could access, some of those folks could access this environment without the same physical or psychosocial limitations imposed by face-to-face learning environments. So my early experiences with web technology were extremely positive. So much so that it took a while for me to see drawbacks. And I now understand that there is a great deal of paradox inherent in our use of technology, including Web 2. I am not somebody who proselytizes moving everything online or anything like that. I see forever great value in both online and face-to-face teaching. I also see that there is great paradox in technology. While we can use technologies to connect with one another, to collaborate, to create these shared and very relevant resources for ourselves, for our students, for society, we can reach across the globe to collaborate and understand the way things are being done elsewhere. There are all these possibilities, but the same possibilities are also used to disconnect us from each other. We multitask so much more with a technology-rich environment that we often forget the power of doing just one thing at a time. It can create the opposite of mindfulness. It can cause us to distance ourselves from one another. I often email someone sitting in the cubicle next to me. We've all seen folks sitting together with each other and each working on their own electronic device. There are many, many ways that we can use technology in ways that are opposite from what I've been talking about. So it really is up to us. Are we going to use the power of these new online tools to enrich the embodiment of our mission and values? Are we going to find new ways to serve our communities with these tools and serve each other, connect more deeply, dialogue deeper, share stories more widely, etc.? Or are we going to use these technologies to further distance ourselves from our students or from each other? That is the question that I want to leave this introduction with, because that's one of the main questions that I want to discuss with you this first week together as you look at some controversial resources in the course and we talk about where we're going with this whole new world of technology and how each of us is going to interact and engage this technology as we take our own philosophies, our own teaching philosophies and practices to a new level using new tools. And so we begin. I'm very excited to work with each of you and all of you together, and I'm excited to see what you all have to teach me and each other about the questions that we're engaging. Thank you.